Alright guys, let's work on fetching the count for successful transactions and then work on fetching the data of our last transaction. Create the function to fetch it. Yeah, right here. Alright, this history count is in our smart contract. You already know. It's a variable, a state variable, a public one. So let's look for it. Start at the top. Here, inside my constructor, initialize it at 0. Then anytime a transaction, it increments. Like when we had this deposit function, we incremented it by 1. So incrementing. I think we should set this as a variable. Then I'll set my history count. What did I name that variable? Oh, transactions. So changes to transactions. And then right here, if wallet contract is ready, get history count. Then I'll display it on my markup. Here around line 166. Remove this present string and write transactions. JSX, then save. All right, let's check it out. Still refreshing. Wallet contract dot history count is not a function. What do you mean? Okay. Wallet contract dot history. Oh, no methods. Need to be methods there. Methods before the history count. Wallet contract dot methods dot history count. Now let's check it out. Still refreshing. Now it says count is undefined. Okay. Add a let keyword here and save. All right, you can see it's showing 3 here because we've had 3 successful transactions here, right here. Then let's work on getting our last transactions. Function get last transaction. It's an async function. Await wallet contract dot methods dot get history dot call. And this time I don't assign it to a variable. I'll use a promise and you'll see why. Dot then console dot log. So let's call this function, then we'll check it out. If wallet contract is ready, get last transaction, then save. Check it out. Still refreshing. Let's open our console since we want to see something in the console. All right, you can see the data is coming as an array. And it's returning all the transactions we've had. The first one that went through successfully, but the value didn't go through. This is one thing about blockchain. Once you deploy a smart contract, you can modify the data in it. And now I can delete this one, even though it wasn't successful. It was successful, but it didn't have a value. All right, this is the one we want to catch, this transfer. So let's work on that. Then back to my get last transaction. I'm using a promise, so remove this console.log, then pass in a parameter record. This is my callback function. Then I'll return a for loop here for let i equal 0. I is less than the record.length length. Then I should increment by 1, meaning I is record.length. Alright, and then from our data, you can see this is an associated array, and the index of 0 contains the ID. The index with 1 contains the type of the transaction, and the index of 3, the index of 2 has the amount. This is the only thing I want to catch. Alright, let's work on it here. I'll say, let's even make this a state variable. Set last transaction as an object. It has an ID. Let's give this one transaction ID record index of I with the index of 0. This is how associative arrays work here in JavaScript. Then I want the type, so tx type is the record with the index of I, and I has an index of 1. And then the amount, tx value. Anytime you see me writing tx, it simply means transaction. Record with the index of I and the associative index of 2. Let's create this transaction variable. So right here, const last transaction set last transaction is using state. Just string, empty string, save. Then let's go down. Alright, this transaction data, for this last transaction data, we'll fetch them here and make it show in our markup. So come down to the section that says last transaction data. Around here, line 185, I think, index, remove this markup. We use JSX now. I use last transaction .txid. This is how to access objects In JavaScript, you use the dot notation. While if you are accessing arrays, you use their index. In TS type, this time we'll use last transaction dot tx type, and then transaction amount. Last transaction dot tx value. Save. This should work. Let's check it out. Still refreshing. Alright, it went through successfully. As you can see, it's showing our last transaction as index of 2, and it was a transfer. Let's convert this to ether. And by the way, let's add the token symbol, the static one. Here I'll put Corelli it, and to the top here I'll use my web3 library here, web3.utils.fromWay. Let me put some space in here, padding front, or padding left and padding right, CSS. Then I think that data has to go in as string. Let's see if it will work. It did work. Now it's 0.01. Corelli it. Alright, let's work on fetching transaction. So when we put an index here to fetch the transaction, and we'll be able to see all the data. And when we click on it to redirect us to Etherscan, or Corelli Etherscan,